People don't have any intention of saying something that's going to lead to something dangerous, but we cannot take responsibility for the minds that are out there and how they hear it.
Other Democrats are quickly calling for gun control before we have the full picture of the alleged assassin.
Let me ask you tonight, do you think Donald Trump is a fascist?
Yes, I do.
This is what kicking the shit out of fascism looks like.
Try to prevent the spread of the lawlessness and the fascist chaos that's been unleashed against us.
So when we say Donald Trump is a fascist, fascism, a huge component of fascism is uniting racism, bigotry, a form of racist nationalism.
We are now living in a fascist dictatorship.
We are worried about potential rise of fascism in this country. We're worried about our democracy falling to an authoritarian and potentially fascist form of government.
Not only to roll over to Donald Trump's will, but to roll over our democracy and allow him to take over this country as a fascist dictator.
When fascism isn't just coming, it's already here.
The former chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, Mark Milley, said, "No one has ever been more dangerous to this country than Donald Trump, and he is a fascist to his core."
Well, I will leave that up to you to interpret what those engravings mean. I think the clearest one that says "catch fascist," there's not, and by the way, that's like catch like a ball, catch this. I think that speaks for itself.
But I want you to look at how Utahns reacted the last two nights. There was no rioting, there was no looting, there were no cars set on fire, there was no violence. There were vigils and prayers and people coming together to share the humanity. And that, ladies and gentlemen, I believe is the answer to this. We can return violence with violence. We can return hate with hate. And that's the problem with political violence, is it metastasizes, because we can always point the finger at the other side. And at some point, we have to find an off-ramp, or it's going to get much, much worse.
They got the assassin. We finally found Charlie Kirk's killer, right? And it's one of the greatest fears I think a parent could find. You know, someone release a picture and you're like, that looked like my kid. And imagine confronting him and he admits to you, yeah, I did it. And I'd rather kill myself before I let them catch me. Then you go to the pastor and he said, no, you got to turn yourself in. No, go to the pastor, talk it out. Pastor forms the marshal and you get turned in. Imagine that. Imagine the moral clarity that father had to turn in his own son. I have two sons, man. And that's one of my, this is why my kid don't have social media. My kid don't have none of the tablets, none of this stuff. Outside, bro, go play soccer. Right? You go play video games that's not connected to the internet. Because I don't want people influencing my son away from my values. Because I know how I'm going to raise my kid. It took 6 months for this guy to be radicalized. And the left will sit here pretending that he's on the right. Oh, his father was a Republican, gun-tooting, gun-loving family. This proves that we don't know his political ideology. Are you stupid? Are you that desperate, leftists? Are you that desperate, liberals? This is not a crazy liberal. He is a crazy liberal. Breaking. High school friend claims that Tyler Robinson was a leftist per The Guardian. Was. He is. He is a leftist. Antifa? He joined the Antifa network. Anti-fascism, right? You saw from the intro. You saw the language. That's the language that Democrats use to castigate the right, the conservative. Like, make it make sense. This is like, are you guys trying to, like, you guys must be kidding me, right? I feel like people are trying to convince me that Tyler Robinson murdered someone he agreed with. Am I making this up? Make it make sense. This is what I'm talking about. Oh, it's Republicans and conservatives rhetoric. that's causing all this violence. Really? Or are you just mad about what I had to say? And I'm really pissed off today because if you guys have been seeing my X account activity, I've been pointing out how there's the New York Times. They're making corrections to their articles, admitting that, we took Charlie Kirk's thing out of context, or, hey, Charlie Kirk didn't say this. Charlie Kirk didn't say why. Stephen King was a big example. Came out and saying that, Charlie Kirk said that he wanted to stone gays. And he pointed, and then the guy was forced to admit that he believed someone else. Someone else has said that. I believe this person. And he found out that person was a liar and he had to apologize. Stephen King. This is some craziness. There's an ideology that has steadily been growing in this country where it hates everything that is good, righteous, and beautiful and celebrates everything that is warped, twisted, and deprived. It is an ideological at war with family and nature. It is envious and malicious. That's a leftist for you. Tyler Robinson was a leftist. And you Democrats coming out here trying to deny that, it only makes it look worse. Because, like I said, and this, I admit my bias against liberals. I feel like they're very deceitful people. And of course, a deceitful person will come out and try to tell you that this man, because his dad was a Republican, you try to say he's not a leftist. So to be a leftist, let me get this straight. To be a leftist, you can't not come from a conservative family. That's what you're telling me? So me, I'm a conservative, right? My family is a bunch of Democrats. My aunt's a Democrat. My mom's a Democrat. My cousins, my uncle, Democrat. Some of my wife's uncles and aunts are Democrats. So because I come from a family of Democrats, that means I'm a Democrat. So if I do something atrocious, right, even though I say I'm a conservative, even though I give conservative viewpoints, I give the conservative perspective, if I do some act of evil, conservatives can say, Kenny wasn't a real conservative. Kenny was a liberal. Look, he comes from a family of Democrats. Look, he's a black man. Black men are 77% on the Democratic train, gravy train. It's obvious he's a leftist. And they're trying to do that right now with Tyler Robinson. Anything to excuse themselves of accountability. This is the tweet I was talking about, and then I'll get into this next segment because I feel like this needs to be spoken about, because this is how delusional, imaginary, and clueless a lot of liberals are. They're so emotionally vigorous about things that they themselves are not sure are true. I was wrong. I apologize. I have deleted the post. I'd say Stephen King should be ashamed of himself for what he pointed out. He advocated stoning gays to death. Just saying, right? I believe marriage is one man, one woman. Also, gay people should be welcome in the conservative movement. As a Christian, we can call to love everyone. I will always stand against people who wish to establish their own personal values as a reason to kick out people out of our movement. And then he had to apologize and say, sorry, I had believed a liar. Right? And this is the funny part. The left have no ground. They have no ground to stand on. I'm going to show you some segments because I'm done talking. I'm done talking because the facts speak for itself. I said it all the time on this channel. People kill people. Guns don't kill people. People kill people. Who pulled the trigger? A leftist did. Tyler Robinson. What? He's not a leftist? Prove me wrong. I never heard of a conservative using, hey, fascist, catch this. Oh, you're a fascist. I never seen someone spreading hate. That's not in the language of conservatives. They don't use it as some word jargon, word salad like the left do. This corporate buzzword, that's a liberal thing. Using buzzwords, you're spreading hate. Conservatives like to clarify things. Don't you think you're spreading hate by dehumanizing conservatives? Trying to treat them like second-class citizens? Calling them deplorables? Right, leftists? This is your language. The man was using your language. And you're trying to use the fact that he comes from a Republican household to pretend that, like he can't make up his mind. He's college age. He can't make up his own mind? Ridiculous. And you know this is a sorry attempt to push the blame off of your own rhetoric. Your rhetoric of dehumanizing people like me. That's what the left do. progressives, leftists, you guys, it's in your blood. It's history. It's history. Democrats were the party of slavery. You guys are, it's in your rhetoric to dehumanize people. That's what y'all do. Starting with abortion. Dehumanizing humans, huh? Because the human is living in the belly of its mother. You believe it has no rights. It's not even human. You don't recognize it as human. And you do the same thing with conservatives. I digress. Keep trying to shift blame away. If you're a liberal, I'm sorry. If you try to shift blame away from your own rhetoric instead of owning your side of the rhetoric and say, hey, this is how we contribute to political violence, we hold ourselves accountable for that. I don't want to hear criticism. The conservatives are not going to hear your criticism today. Because liberals believe in cancel culture, but liberals themselves are not the one canceling liberals. Because you don't live up to your own values. And this is how Machiavellian you come across. But I digress. I want to show a clip with Benny Johnson snapping at Chris Cuomo and also some other follow-up clips that I think will help prove my point. Let's take a look.
I don't really care how we got here so much. There is a lot of blame to go around. I do not see you guys as victims. You give as good as you get. There is a lot of anger. There is a lot of exaggeration. It is all hate for profit on the fringe of this battling binary political system. My question is, my question is now what?
Charlie Kirk has never advocated. Charlie Kirk has never advocated violence ever. Charlie Kirk was only
I'm not saying he did.
a nonviolent, peaceful debater. He went into places where he knew he was hated in order to engage.
I agree.
Kindly and humanly with people.
He was not about violence.
For you to say that it's the same thing.
Hold on.
It's not, Chris.
Hold on. I'm not talking about it with Charlie. Benny, don't play games with me. I'm giving you latitude because you deserve it, because this was your friend, and this is scary, and it hurts, and it could have just as easily been you.
The dehumanization is wrong. It's wrong. And
There's no question, but Benny,
you'll never be able to chew me out, Chris, because I'll never dehumanize.
Benny,
if I hear that Joe Biden gets a terminal cancer diagnosis, if I hear that Joe Biden gets a terminal cancer diagnosis, I'll say a prayer for him. I'll say that I hope he lives the rest of his days painless. That's exactly what I said, and every person that I know and respect, and I know them all in my ecosystem, said the same thing. Not a single one of us celebrated. Not a single one of us celebrated Joe Biden's terminal cancer diagnosis. Now, I can show you a endless series of TikToks and celebration posts and T-shirts made celebrating this travesty. There is a fundamental difference of those who glorify death on the left, and it is demonic, it's sick, and it's dark, and it needs to be.
All right, but
it needs to be disavowed.
Benny, I hear you.
I hate Charlie Kirk. I think he's actually a Satan spawn, but he's very, very strategically minded.
People come along to lecture conservatives about toning down the rhetoric and this and that, whether it happens on the left or whether it happens on the right, and no matter who the victims are, somehow we're always told that it's conservatives who are the problem and that they need to tone down the rhetoric. Meanwhile, you have people like Senator Chris Murphy from Connecticut, who the day before Charlie was shot in an interview said that we're at war and you have to be able to do whatever you need to do to win the war. You had Tim Walz the other day telling a crowd that he was hoping to wake up one day to news that Donald Trump had died. You had Seth Moulton, a congressman from Massachusetts, on TV this morning lecturing conservatives that they're the real problem. Now, it's our friend that's dead. There's a lot of causes on the left right now that are causing people to engage.
Okay, and
in, at a
equally
minimum,
on the
rhetoric.
right as well, though, Scott. Equally on the right as well. Can we at least
Listen,
be fair about this?
I'm going to be perfectly honest with you. I have no time and no quarter for any criticisms of Republicans or conservatives or Donald Trump or Charlie Kirk or any other both sidesing this. It's our friend who's dead, shot in the throat while doing what we're supposed to do as Americans, which is engage in civil discourse. He goes to a college, not known, colleges are not known as hotbeds of conservatism. He goes to a college to engage in civil discourse, and now he's dead because that's what he did. So I really don't have any time for both sidesing this today. It's our friend that's dead because he was doing what you're supposed to do as an American. Talk, use your voice, use your words, use your powers of reasoning, debate, speech. That's what we do as Americans. And now our friend's dead, and you want to lecture me about Donald Trump or
I'm not
conservatives
lecturing
or
you.
both
I guess
sides?
I'm just saying.
It tells me you don't really get what's happening, and
well,
so
no,
I'm happy to explain it to you, but you clearly don't get it.
I don't need to say anything else. My dog not playing. This needs an update. 2025, woke progressive, bingo. Look how far left you guys are. And you're pretending that everyone's far right. Everyone's far right but you, huh? Everyone's the extremist but you. What a narcissistic, self-centered ideology progressivism seems to breed in their culture. You guys support assassination culture. He's a leftist, right? This is an example. The leftist, you believe things in your imagination. You killed someone based on your imagination. Oh, Charlie Kirk is spreading hate. It's something that Tyler Robinson confessed to his father, confessed to those around him, arguing with his parents about how bad and how much of a bigot, racist that Charlie Kirk is. Let me show you where this young man, right, got his ideas from. Because he didn't witness those words. He didn't hear those words. He was brainwashed to think that stuff. And the left don't want to understand how radical, dehumanizing conservatives are. Let me give you an example. This gives chills. It speaks to the desire of mainstream media to destroy the right. I wrote about this smearing of character years ago as their primary objective. It not only supersedes anything else, including seeking truth, it destroys in attempts to rewrite or bury truth. The level is the stain is the essence of hate. What a correction from the New York Times on Charlie Kirk. A correction was made September 11th, 2025. This is what pissed me off. An early version of this article described incorrectly an anti-Semitic statement that Charlie Kirk had made on an episode of his podcast. He was quoting a statement from a post on social media and went on to critique it. It was not his own statement. Wow. After the man is dead, that's when you want to correct the record, huh? And then you're going to look at me. Kenny, you unfairly criticize liberals and Democrats. Why you have such a negative bias against liberals and Democrats and people of the left? My number one critique, I always, based the way that the left conducts themselves, I always feel like they're trying to manipulate and deceive me. And then I keep finding evidence to reaffirm that. Ridiculous. But you have the gall to lecture me about rhetoric? Here's a post I made on social media. You have the goal to lecture me on rhetoric? We are being lectured by Democrats on TV about rhetoric and toning down the temperature. But you don't call out the culture and beliefs of your voters. Imagine if this poll was about race instead of political beliefs. More evidence that the Democrats are only tolerant when it's convenient. Poll, 77% of Republicans believe it's always unacceptable to feel joy at the death of someone they oppose, while 38% of Democrats share that view. YouGov. For the 38% of Democrats, I'm sorry that you have to be associated with people like this. People who try every way around wiggling accountability. But they demand the right to always be tolerant, to always live up to our morality, to always live up to our values. They use our values and they use it like a golden handcuff on us to protect themselves from the accountability that they deserve. Now leftists are losing their jobs. Now they're appealing to our morality. Now they're appealing to our principles. Now they're appealing to our standards. And we're like, no, because you don't hold yourself to your own damn standards. You want to hold us to account, but you don't hold yourself to account on your own standards. You talk about misinformation, but you allowed misinformation to exist for years and only corrected the record when the man finally dies based on rhetoric from your side. And you have the gall to tell me that Tyler Robinson isn't a leftist. If you believe Tyler Robinson isn't a leftist, I got a bridge to sell you. They are lying. While President Trump has called for end to political violence following the assassination of Charlie Kirk, he did not recognize or acknowledge the recent threats and violent attacks and killings of Democrats. Note suggests context to be shown here. President Trump publicly responded, offering condolences after the shooting of 2 Minnesota lawmakers. And there was arguments that the Minnesota lawmaker that got shot was voting against a left-wing position. And the guy was extremely left-wing because he had a No Kings protest material on him. The same way that this shooter here, Tyler Robinson, had Antifa, hey, fascists, catch this, furry stuff. That's not conservative. That's not right-wing. But you trying to gaslight us into saying, into agreeing with that? Dark joke here, but I would laugh if it wasn't so true. On my way to have a minor disagreement with a liberal. You got to come bulletproof armor, suited up. This is why conservatives don't want their kids to go to college. This is why I don't want kids to go to college. This is why Charlie Kirk called college a scam. Because all it is an indoctrination camp, right? To a death cult. Charlie's killer was radicalized by utterly ubiquitous, total mainstream views of the left, routinely articulated by every Democrat conservative view as hateful. This is the source of political violence in America, and none of them will take responsibility for it. That's the problem we have with you, liberals. That's the problem. That's why the criticism that Scott Jennings was putting out, any kind of deflection is just an admission of guilt.
One side of the political aisle in America is heavily armed, and it's the other side that commits the vast majority of political violence. You know, there's a tacit admission from the left that their side is the violent side, because if somebody, God forbid, if a big left-wing influencer, God forbid, was killed, what they would be doing immediately is boarding up every single major city in America, because there would be rioting and looting. People would die. We know that tens, if not hundreds of people died during the BLM riots. And obviously, none of that has happened, and none of that is expected to happen, despite the fact that the right, whose avatar was just murdered in cold blood, is heavily armed, right? So there is this tacit understanding from the left, even as they call the right the source of all the political violence and fascists and Nazis and what have you, that actually the right will not pick up their arms and turn on their leftist neighbors, right? They rely on the forbearance of their conservative neighbors, who are much more heavily armed, not to actually take revenge. And we all know that this is happening. They just won't admit it. It is so amazing to sit here and have people bring up case after case after case that has been like thoroughly debunked. You know, just because Josh Shapiro is a Democrat doesn't mean the person who tried to assassinate him was a Republican. That guy did it, he said, because Josh Shapiro is killing his Palestinian friends, okay? And we have cases like that again and again. They have to keep going back to January 6th, which, as Vince pointed out, no one was killed except Ashley Babbitt, who was one of the protesters. To compare a meme posted of a Halloween costume to people actually saying the things that murderers then use to justify their killing, like the guy who killed that couple outside the Jewish Museum in DC, or like this killer who killed Charlie, saying the exact same things you hear from the most prominent Democrats, is facetious. It is facetious.
Facetious, gaslight, rage bait. I honestly think the people who say this stuff, they're just trying to rage bait us. It has to be. That's the only thing that makes sense to me. Charlie Robinson is every conservative parent's worst nightmare. Sending your kid to college where he's radicalized into a violent anti-fascist by the sly, scheming leftist professors. We need to put radical academia on trial along with its cherished product, Tyler Robinson. I feel for his father. I feel for him, man. I feel for him. If my kids were radicalized, I don't know what I would do, honestly. And this is why I protect him. This is why I homeschool my kids, because I can't trust strangers with my son. Your most valuable asset, your child, your most valuable everything, your whole life. That's my kids. That's why I homeschool my kid. Another reason unlocked for why I will homeschool my kid. Another reason why I won't send my kid to college. College is a scam, especially when they're producing people like this, especially when they're allowing left-wing people to get away with damn near everything. Protest, violence, no condemnation. The so-called hate speech that they claim that they don't like from the right, but they're allowed to do it. Rules for thee, but not for me, huh? That's the MO of the left. That's the MO of the Democratic Party. How are we supposed to take responsibility for the actions of how people will interpret our words, says Nancy Pelosi, but you hold Donald Trump to that standard. But you can't hold yourself to that standard. Que lindo, how nice, how convenient. The D for Democrat, it stands for deceit, deception, and desperation. Let me know your thoughts and perspective in the comment section below. Do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me that Tyler Robinson is a leftist? And this is on the left. Their rhetoric of dehumanizing Charlie Kirk, assassinating his character, creating this imagination of him being a racist bigot, that's a sexist and all this ish, when really he just had a different opinion and values about things he's seen in reality. These leftists believe into these caricatures because it's easier to believe in their imagination, this cartoon character, this cartoon villain-like imagination of theirs. Like this is some movie, than to actually think that the person has a rational reason for the positions and values that they believe in. I hope we found justice. I'm still conflicted. I don't know if the kid deserves the death penalty. There's some people who wants a public execution. Left, hey, look, y'all rhetoric got y'all here. The same rhetoric, the same anti-Trumpism that cost you the election is costing you even more support. 28% of Americans agree or support the Democratic Party. You think after today that number is going to increase or decrease? Let me know in the comment section your thoughts about that. I'll leave it out there. I think I said enough. I think I rambled enough. Craziness. But I'm a little bit more sane today than I was yesterday because we finally caught the killer. And now I hope justice will be served. I'll catch you guys on the next one. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Please share this video if it's so inclined. It really does help me out in the algorithm. And I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.